Good morning. I'm Abby Powell, and I'll be serving as worship associate today. We welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Savannah. Our minister, Reverend Lisa Day, is our worship leader this morning. Our worship, religious education, and covenant group themes for December is Practice of Presence. Here at the UU Church of Savannah, we are working to build a diverse, multicultural, and beloved community. We celebrate the presence and participation of people of all races, genders, sexual orientations, abilities, and ethnic and national origins. We warmly welcome you on YouTube and here on site in the sanctuary, whoever you know yourself to be and wherever you are on your journey. If you're visiting with us this morning and you would like to introduce yourselves, please rise or raise your hand and an usher will bring you a microphone. As part of our commitment to accessibility, we use microphones whenever anyone speaks so that everyone in the sanctuary and YouTube can hear you. Anybody over here on this side of a visitor today? The mic is on. Anybody over here on this side? I see a hand, a couple of hands.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Seema, this is Rick, and we go to the Knoxville UU and have for a very long time. We're on vacay, and anytime I go to a different city, I try to visit the UU because they're all amazing and different.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, welcome. Anybody else? Okay, I don't see any other hands or standing people, so we'll move along. If you are looking for a new faith community, we encourage you to visit us several times to get a feel for our worship style and our approach to matters of faith and religion. It is good to have all of you with us. Please join us in Ron Hall for refreshments following the service. You can find Ron Hall in the next building over, so you can go through that door and down the ramp or around the building or follow the crowd. After the children's story and after the offering, we sing a short response, and that can be found in the order of service. And there are 2 cards in the pew back in front of you to help us gather information for the good of the community. You can use the QR code on the rainbow chalice card to sign up for our newsletter and to receive a welcome letter from our minister, or if you prefer, you can fill out the card and place it in the offering plate. And the card with the red heart and chalice is there to share a joy or a sorrow. If you fill these cards out, just put them in the collection plate as they come around. Church announcements are emailed to members and friends on Tuesday and Friday. Check your email for complete details about the following. Please join us on Sunday, December 15th at 3 p.m. for our special Christmas concert, Merry and Bright, featuring vocalist Cecilia Orengo and friends. You can join the Green Team for a meeting discussing air quality in Forsyth Park on Saturday, December 7th at 10 a.m. And you may notice that the choir is off for Thanksgiving weekend and will be back next week. With the lighting of our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we enter into sacred time. Our chalice lighter this morning is Jackie Pearson. Our chalice lighting words are questions and observations from Daniel Skolnick. The Persian poet Kabir wrote, "I laugh when I hear that the fish in the sea are thirsty. Are you thirsty for the divine, the sacred, the clear light of awakening? All around you, the world is wet with it." This year, our Advent candles are being lit by families and individuals who have become members of the church in the past year. Today's candle lighters are Leslie and Destiny Cowart. Our candle lighting words for this first week of Advent with the theme of hope comes from playwright Tony Kushner. I still believe, as I've said many, many, many times, that hope is a moral obligation. Hope is a moral obligation, that hope is not just a feeling state. It is a decision. It's a choice. People who are fortunate enough to live in circumstances that make it possible to hope have an obligation to search hard for plausible occasions of hope. May we be among those who choose hope time and again.
Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here, this opening to the life we have refused again and again until now. Until now. Let us worship together. Will you rise in spirit or in body for our opening hymn, number 92, Mysterious Presence, Source of All. time now for our story. Anyone who would like to see the pictures may come forward. Our story this morning is called I Am Peace. Have some of you heard this story in RE? Megan's heard it, but most of us haven't, so it's a good story to have. There are times when I worry about what might happen next and what happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor, being carried away. I give myself a moment, I take a breath, and then I tell myself it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet and steady myself, and start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle. My mind begins to clear. I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear. I let things go. I say what I feel like inside out loud. I know myself. I can share kindness with others. I make a difference. Do you see what's happening? Dropping some seeds. Something's growing from those seeds, all the way up into a tree. I can hug a tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I connect to nature. I can watch the clouds make shapes against the sky. I know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and see and hear what's all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath fill my whole body. I tune in to me. Now the water is still. I have found my anchor, and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am in this moment. I am peace. Now I share my peace with others and hope that it is carried away to those who need it. And I dream we are peace. Thank you for being good listeners. We will sing you on your way to religious education.
The offering we take each Sunday offers a chance to reflect on why we give. These words from Kristen Collins give a few reasons to add to our own. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that, together, we have enough. To donate via debit or credit card, please use the QR code on the back of the service, or you can go to the church's website and click on the donate button. Mailed checks are also welcome. Thank you for your generosity. enter a time to share our joys and sorrows with each other. Heather Kearns shares a sorrow that her friend Lynn Bastian unexpectedly passed away Tuesday night. She was a kind and giving person who will be missed. Also, a remembrance that today is World AIDS Day. Let us hold all our joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, in our hearts as we join together in the responsive reading found in your order of service. Sorrow is everywhere. As we mourn together, so we celebrate together, and offer thanks. So may it be, now and in all the days to come.
Let us enter into a spirit of meditation. The words of meditation this morning from Unitarian Universalist minister Tess Baumberger. Remember way back before sentences, before words, past the stories you have always told about yourself. Remember. Remember beyond the thought clouds casting shadows on your soul. Remember. Remember who you were, who you are, who you might someday be. Remember. Remember yourself into the silent joy that surrounds the being within as the land encases the quiet harbor. The harbor is not the distant sound of the airplane in the sky, not the heavy crash of machinery at the docks, not the cheerful clanging of the buoy on the water, nor the chiming and piping of the invisible birds, not even the mute arias of the fish moving in the cool dark. Remember, you are the peaceful bay, the gentle water of the rising sun, your edges barely grazing the shore. Remember. Remember. Amen. Our first reading this morning from the poet Hafiz. Now is the time to know that all you do is sacred. Now, why not consider a lasting truce with yourself and God? Now is the time to understand that all your ideas of right and wrong were just a child's training wheels to be laid aside. When you can finally live with veracity and love. Now is the time for the world to know that every thought and action is sacred. That this is the time for you to compute the impossibility that there is anything but grace. Now is the season to know that everything you do is sacred. And from William Stafford, you reading this, be ready. Starting here, what do you want to remember? How sunlight creeps along a shining floor? What scent of old wood hovers? What softened sound from outside fills the air? Will you ever bring a better gift for the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? Are you waiting for time to show you some better thoughts? When you turn around, starting here, lift this new glimpse that you found. Carry into evening all that you want from this day. This interval you spent reading or hearing this, keep it for life. What can anyone give you greater than now, starting here, right in this room when you turn around? And finally, a poem, Real Presence, by Nan Shepherd. Clear as the endless ecstasy of stars that mount forever on an intense air, or running pools of water clear and rare, in chiseled gorges deep amid the scours, so still the bright dawn were their best device. Yet like a thought that has no end they flow, or Venus, when her white unearthly glow sharpens like awe on skies as green as ice. To such a clearness, love is come at last, not disembodied, transubstantiate, but substance and its essence now are one, and love informs, yet is the form create. No false gods now, the images o'ercast. We are love's body, or we are undone. Here in the readings, will you rise in body or spirit for hymn number 90, From All the Fret and Fever of the Day? Today is the 1st of December. I haven't even opened the first door on my Advent calendar of tea, Advent calendars being one of many secular ways of counting down toward Christmas. And we've only just lit the first Advent candle on this first Sunday of Advent, a more religious means of tracking the days until Christmas. Only December 1st, and I'm already grumpy. Now, you might think that my grumpiness arises from yet another seasonal means of counting down to Christmas, shopping. Begun on the traditional calendar at 12:01 this past Friday morning, and on the more contemporary calendar a month ago at the stroke of midnight on October 31st. But you would be wrong. Oh, I'm as annoyed as the next person at the lack of a graceful autumnal segue between Halloween and Christmas. But that's not the primary source of my grumpiness just now. I'm grumpy because my mom has announced once again that she doesn't want any Christmas gifts. And my siblings insist that our generation of the family will not exchange gifts either. Well, to be fair, my brother insists. My sister wants some wiggle room in case she finds just the right token. And my colleagues had an intense discussion over breakfast at our retreat a couple weeks back about the preferences for experiences over things, which is all fine and good. Mom is 85 years old, able to provide for all her own material needs, and determined to cull her possessions before death so as not to create work for my siblings and me when the time comes. Likewise, my siblings and their partners and I don't have any material needs. And who can argue, really, that a play or a concert or a state park pass or a museum membership doesn't blow another consumer item out of the water, no matter how novel or useful said consumer item might be? And on top of all that, experiences or no gifts at all reduce the waste produced by wrapping paper, ribbons, and bows. So win, 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 right? But I like presents. And it's not about extravagance or acquisitiveness. I mean, yes, I was delighted the year two of my nephews gave me a 30-pound bag of orange marshmallow circus peanuts. But I was also delighted the year my sister gave me an unbreakable slotted spoon because I'd recently trod upon and shattered my old plastic one, and knowing I had both a birthday and Christmas approaching, I put it on my Christmas list rather than buying a replacement myself. But my delight in the circus peanuts came more from watching my nephew's joy in surprising me with a ridiculous amount of a treat I love, more than it did from the candy itself. And my delight in the slotted spoon came from knowing my sister probably rolled her eyes and said, well, it's strange, but it's what she wanted. And that particular delight is revisited every time I use the spoon. I am just as passionate about giving presents. Obviously, I've never topped the gift-giving apex of 30 pounds of circus peanuts, but I derive joy and satisfaction from the thought I put into finding and creating gifts to fit the recipient and the occasion. All of which is prelude to say, despite what you might think from its title, this isn't going to be a sermon along the lines of what you sometimes see on invitations to vows renewals or anniversary parties or 75th birthdays. No gifts, please. Your presence is our present. You and your family and friends have to negotiate boundaries and expectations around gifts and giving. There isn't a one-size-fits-all right or wrong way. The individual decisions you make this year, gifts or no gifts, experiences only, wrapping paper or reusable and reused gift bags, these decisions alone, one year, will neither save nor destroy the planet. The way you make the decisions, however, the discussions you have within your circles about shared values and personal preferences and individual finances, these discussions and the care and honesty, gentleness and generosity with which you undertake them may either strengthen the bonds of kinship or sow resentment, soothe already fraying nerves, or boost anxiety. So to reiterate, no preaching or scolding or judgment from me about your gift-giving preferences and practices. Nevertheless, with the marathon having commenced, by whichever calendar we mark time, the seasons of the church or the seasons of consumerism and capitalism, with 31 days between now and January 2nd, when everything shifts again, with a month of busyness and expectation and going and doing ahead of us, there might be a gift for us in the practice of presence. A gift for us and for all within the circles of our lives. Our deliberate practice of presence this holiday season might be a gift to our friends and our family in the very simple sense of giving them our presence, an hour or a day of our time spent over a meal or a walk, a conversation or a shared project. Giving our presence in this way is a version of giving an experience, but instead of giving theater tickets or a pass to the museum or amusement park, we give time, our time, to loved ones who might sometimes complain that we're too busy, always working, always volunteering, never at home or able to visit them in the places where they live. This is a literal, your presence is our present gift, so I guess this is that sermon after all, at least in part. However, when I suggest that the practice of presence this holiday season might be a gift to ourselves and others, I mean something more elegant, difficult, and ultimately more precious. I mean that because we have inherent worth and dignity, who we are and as we are always a gift. We are always a blessing simply by virtue of being. But the gift of our presence in the world, in this most basic sense, gets lost and hidden behind illusions, self-imposed expectations, media and marketing messages and fears. Lost and hidden from ourselves, and therefore not always, but often unavailable to those to whom we most want to offer gifts that will bring joy, laughter, a sense of being known and loved. Last week, which was also last month and also last season, we heard the poet Marge Piercy Edna St. Vincent Millay. We heard the poet Edna St. Vincent Millay insist that times of hardship and peril are not times to fast, because fortitude takes muscle and needs food. In a similar vein, this morning we heard from 3 poets whose words carry a message about what the world and our loved ones and we ourselves need from us all the time, but perhaps especially in difficult times or frantic and harried times or times like this month that might be difficult and frantic and harried. The 14th century Persian poet Hafiz says, "Now is the season to know that everything you do is sacred." Now, not when you get your relationships all figured out. Now, not when you undertake just the right course of action in response to the 2024 election. Now, not when you've got everything perfectly organized for a perfect Christmas. Now is the season to know that everything you do and are is sacred. Being party to relationships that are shaky or rebuilding or fledgling or even dying. Being a bit panicky and a lot overwhelmed, wondering how best to protect the vulnerable and keep disaster at bay. scrambling to achieve your vision for the holidays and falling short spectacularly or a little bit, or compromising and negotiating competing visions for the holidays. All of this, everything, is sacred. Not only that, I'll go a bit beyond Hafiz to declare everything you are is sacred. As such, to practice being present as your authentic, quirky self now in the midst of it all is a gift to the world, to your loved ones, to your community, because sacredness in any form, even in the form of you, is always a gift, and never more so than when it is unhidden, undisguised, and therefore easily accessible. And, this is important, to practice being present now in this season in everything you do will be a gift to you, because denying your sacred, quirky, authentic self, or keeping it hidden or buried beneath respectability or layers of shoulds, is a lot of exhausting, demoralizing work. Now is the season to practice. None of us will approach perfection. Now is the season to practice being present to ourselves and as ourselves. American poet William Stafford echoed Hafiz over a span of 6 centuries, more or less. Will you ever bring a better gift to the world than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go right now? And the Scottish modernist poet Nan Shepherd puts a very fine and explicit point on the sentiment. We are love's body, or we are undone. Her poem, we heard, Real Presence, isn't a Christmas or Advent poem, but in that final line seems to me to be an apt answer to 19th century English poet Christina Rossetti, who penned, "Love came down at Christmas, love all lovely, love divine. Love was born at Christmas, stars and angels gave the sign." As Unitarian Universalists, most of us don't believe that Jesus, who wasn't born in December anyway, was God incarnate, or even the child of God any more than any one of us might be said to be a child of God. Many of us don't believe in God at all. So if we're not suspending our disbelief and embracing the nativity as a metaphor for the season, which I'll be advocating for next week, it is a stretch for us to believe that love was born at Christmas. But we probably mostly do agree, even if we don't use these exact words, that we are love's body, or we are undone. We, not Jesus, or not solely Jesus, are love incarnate. Love was born when we were born. The work some might describe as God's, healing, holding, tending, repairing, upending, transforming lives, communities, systems, the planet. This work, God's work, love's work, is our work. Because we are here on this earth at this time in history with these bodies and minds and hearts. And if we don't do it, the work isn't done, and then we are all undone. The world, our loved ones, and we ourselves need us to practice being present as love at loose and at work in creation. Because we are ailing. Our communities are ailing. Our planet home is ailing. And because The utter disconnect between what society, through marketers and tellers of false histories, would have us believe about this season and what we, in fact, know to be happening in our communities, to our bodies, to our hearts in this season, this disconnect would drive us to lose our minds if we didn't practice being present as our wondrous, sacred, quirky selves, breathing respect wherever we go as love's very body. And I don't mean losing our minds in the good Wendell Berry Manifesto Mad Farmer Liberation Front sense. He wrote, as soon as the generals and the politicals can predict the motions of your mind, lose it. No, not in that sense. In a good year, holiday expectations and relentless marketing of influencer trends and made-up traditions and ever more expensive gift ideas and the tricky dance of negotiating it all in blended families or witnessing it all from places of loneliness or isolation or while overworked and underpaid. In a good year, this month ahead of us puts us in danger of losing not just our minds, but our spirits, our tenuous at best sense of ourselves as quirky, sacred, wondrous embodiment of love, just as and who we are. That's in a good year, and this is not a good year. This year that dashed hopes or reinforced lived experiences of injustice, racism, misogyny, hatred of queer and trans bodies, souls, and existences. This is not a good year by any stretch of the imagination. So whatever you and yours do about gifts in the more traditional sense this year, may you remember that you yourself, exhausted, frightened, uncertain, joyful, expectant, or anxious, quirky but breathing respect, are already and always a gift. And simply by practicing your own sacred presence, you're losing the mind the politicals and generals and marketers can read, and rediscovering the mind and the soul that are the body of love, to the end that neither you nor we are undone. Amen. Will you please rise now in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 83, Winds Be Still.
Peace, grace, this time.
For a time, it was enough to be here, breathing. But now it is time to re-enter a world demanding so much more. Go forth, buoyed, protected, and sustained by truths that will keep you from being undone. Grace is all there is. There is no better gift than the breathing respect that you carry wherever you go. And love was born when you were born. Amen.
So sweet.
It's just really nice.
You're so sweet. I'm pretty glad you like it.
Yeah, we'll come back next Sunday, and it was just really lovely to hear somebody so invested in the music.
Oh, you're so
It comes
sweet.
through.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, next year